Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Lean Business Agility. My name is Klaus Leopold and today I want to talk about my new book, Practical Kanban, From Team Focus to Creating Value. So I want to talk about my new book today. It's Practical Kanban, From Team Focus to Creating Value, which is basically the translation of the German book Kanban in der Praxis, which is already out since October, I think, last year, 2016. I decided to self-publish the English translation on Leanpub, and there's a good reason for it. Well, I'm always talking about reducing batch size and stuff like this. And when it comes to writing a book, it's about you are working for 2 years, and when the book is out, it's already old because it's one huge batch. And I think Leanpub is quite nice because you can reduce the batch size by continuously delivering new text for your book. Talking about the English translation, thank you very much to Jennifer Minich for the translation. I think she did a really great job. The feedback what I receive for the German book is often like, it's well written, it's easy to consume, it's fun to read. And I think the English translation basically keeps the same tone like in German, which is really just awesome. Another huge thank you goes to my friend Daniel Vacanti, who basically introduced me to Jennifer and who also did a lot of proofreading and reviewing of the English manuscript. So let's talk about the book now. Why did I write this book in the first place? Well, you probably know this saying, in theory there's no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. And I think that's what I see quite often when I work with my customers. So there's a whole lot of great advice out there, but there's also quite a lot of, well, let's say brain masturbation. So stuff which is really hard to apply in your real work life. And the idea of this book is that it's really a book of practice. So what can you expect from this book? Well, you probably know my first book, Kanban Change Leadership, which I wrote together with Sigi Kaltenegger. This book was totally about how to start with Kanban. The new book, Practical Kanban, is the second part of the first book. So it's like, now we successfully started with Kanban, what now? So there is a recurrent theme when I travel around from customer to customer, and there are some questions which continuously emerge when companies started with Kanban. They are asking questions like, are we doing it right? Or how can we improve our Kanban? I know we started now, but there is probably more we can do. Or can we scale Kanban? So it works in our small environment, but we are in a bigger company. So how can you basically do more of Kanban? How can you scale it? Another question which I hear quite often when companies started with Kanban is, how can work become more predictable? And the last question that I hear quite often is, what should we work on next? Which is basically prioritization. And yeah, well, that's exactly what this book is about. I try to give you answers to these questions. In the first chapter, I answer the first two questions, which were, are we doing it right? And how can we improve? Again, I don't try to bullshit too much around here with theory, and instead I give you concrete tools which could help to answer these questions. So one concrete tool is the shipbuilding experiment. The shipbuilding experiment is really a lot about understanding the very fundamentals of Kanban. Working with a Kanban system is totally awesome, but it's not necessarily very intuitive. So when you're working with Kanban, you are faster when you are not working. This doesn't sound right, yeah? Or what else? You don't serve your customer well if you work on their requests immediately. That's wrong, right? Or if we utilize all our people to 100%, work gets finished very, very slowly, and it's totally unpredictable. And I think the shipbuilding experiment sets up a nice environment where you can come up with answers to these not very intuitive questions. And another concrete tool I present in chapter 1 is the flight levels. So the flight levels is a model which basically helps you to understand where in your organization you need to apply some improvement method so that you gain the outcome you want to see. So what I see quite often in reality is that each and every team needs to be agile in order to become an agile organization. But in the end, when all these teams are doing one of these awesome agile methods like Scrum, Kanban, whatever, we still don't see the improvement. And most of the time it's because you're applying your improvement on the wrong level in your organization. Often it's not the team that needs to be improved. And I think the flight levels is a quite nice tool which helps you to pick the right layer in your organization to see the improvement you want to see. And well, yeah, that's basically the highlights of chapter 1. It's the shipbuilding experiment and the flight levels. And the flight levels, by the way, there's a difference to the German edition of the book. In the German edition, I'm talking about 4 flight levels. And in the English edition, I learned, and it's only 3 flight levels now. So what's next? Well, next is chapter 2. Chapter 2 is already translated. Thanks, Jennifer. I'm working to put this into the LeanPub format, which is Markdown, and Katrine is working on the illustrations. And it will take a week or 2 until we can wrap this up, because chapter 2 is quite huge. So we are talking about roughly 100 pages, and it's done of 30 or 40 illustrations or so. So it will take a week or 2, but as soon as it's finished, I will publish it on LeanPub. So that's it for today. Buy the book, read the book, subscribe to the Lean Business Agility podcast, to the Lean Business Agility YouTube channel, and have fun.